top there is now broadcasting to all attendees. Okay, leave meeting. Okay, sorry. Continue. Okay, it's being recorded. Continue. Okay, sorry. Okay, broadcast means start. I think I hit one button.
Okay, so can we start?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Good evening, everybody. In India, good morning, almost good afternoon to everybody in North America on the East Coast. If you're on the West Coast, it's still early morning for you. So welcome. My name is Vijay Thomas. I am a founder at FOHO, FOHOcoin.com. If those of you who are joining in and have not seen the website, please go to FOHOcoin.com. Along with me today is my co-founder, Roshan De Silva. Roshan, if you want to say a few words quickly, wave, smile, do what you need to do. We've got potential investors here, potential partners, potential participants in the FOHO ecosystem. So let's be nice to them. So go ahead, Roshan.
Thanks, everyone, and thanks for attending. It's great to be here. Greetings to everyone from across the globe. We are excited. We are in the final run leg of the FOHO IEO. Excited to reach the end of the process and get going.
Thanks, Roshan. And we have two special guests with us today. We have Gaurav Dahake. Gaurav is the CEO of BitBNS. BitBNS, as most of you would already know, is one of India's best crypto exchanges. It is definitely our favorite crypto exchange because we are going to do our IEO at BitBNS. And Gaurav, thank you for making time to be with us today. We all know how busy you are, and we really appreciate you making time. And another gentleman that we have on the call today is Chandan. Chandan Kumar is a well-known cryptocurrency expert. He's also on our advisory board and also on the advisory board of BitBNS. So somebody that understands the crypto landscape very well. And we're really glad to have him on our advisory. So welcome, Chandan. Chandan, if you want to say a few words, I saw Gaurav was on mute, so please go ahead and we can go back to Gaurav as well.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Vijay, and I'm honored for the opportunity I've had with FOHO. So, like I've been an algo trader for almost all my life, for almost 15 years now. Graduated from IIT almost 18 years ago. So I'm closer to Roshan's and Vijay's age group as compared to Gaurav's age group. And right now I got into crypto around 4 years ago.
Hey, Chandan, I thought me we were in the same.
With BitBNS. So
Roshan, you're an old guy as well. You and I are old, okay? So don't worry. You don't. It's all relative. So when he and I are only on the panel, he calls himself the young guy. But now you're with the old people.
So it's been a very exciting project and the IO opens in around 5 days from now, and all of us are looking forward to it. So.
Absolutely. And Gaurav, I see you're unmuted now. So if you can, I know everybody's from IIT, but and I know the Chandan's from IIT Kharagpur, Roshan's from IIT Bombay. So if you want to tell us which IIT you're from, and also a little bit about your journey with BitBNS, and now obviously we're kind of joining the hips with you, what we're doing, but a little bit about yourself, Gaurav.
Sure. So started the exchange about 3.5 years back. Graduated from IIT Kharagpur in 2013. Worked for about 45 days in a company called ITC, and quit on an Independence Day. Started working full time from there, and started a company called BuyHatK. Scaled it to a significant user base, and then started BitBNS. With BitBNS, we are one of India's largest exchanges, and we're kind of trying to take users towards a newer future where people can kind of invest in the projects, which would kind of create a different realm. And FOHO is along those lines. where FOHO is kind of trying to create the future of real estate in one sense. And that's why we are really excited to kind of partner with FOHO, and would love to kind of even discuss with folks and understand from them, like, what is it that they're kind of looking at when we offer them that on BitBNS where they can invest into FOHO directly.
Thank you, Gaurav. And Gaurav also got married recently, so he's so congratulations on that. And I know as we were working through the FOHO thing, one day he came and said, I got married last week. So we were like, okay, fantastic, excellent. So I was a little worried, will it affect our IEO? But obviously it hasn't. So thank you. So with that introductions out of the way, I'd like to welcome everybody on the BitBNS YouTube channel. Anybody that's watching on the FOHO coin LinkedIn channel, on FOHO coin Facebook, and anywhere else that you're watching. Some of you are attending here on Zoom itself. So welcome everybody. With that, I'd like to go through a little small presentation about the company, and then we'll get into a freewheeling discussion with everybody here. So if I may just share my screen and give you guys a little brief about what's happening, what are we doing, and so what's in store. So if you guys can all see the screen, so FOHO coin. And essentially, FOHO coin is we'll get into details, but FOHO is the future of shared real estate. And what does it encompass? NFT, escrow, blockchain, staking, sponsors, buyers, sellers. Obviously, a lot of the stuff that already happens in the traditional legacy real estate marketplace, but more. The blockchain is the game changer, and we'll get into a little more detail. And as we said, democratizing the real estate space, that's what we're after. If you ask us what's that we're going to change, democratize the real estate space. Today, anybody anywhere in the world cannot just wake up and say, I'm going to buy real estate in New York, I'm going to buy real estate in Sri Lanka, I'm going to buy real estate in India. You got to have, and we'll come into some of those things, there's a lot of reasons why people cannot do that. And as you say, the person on the street, a general Joe Blow or Aam Janta, as you would call it in India, cannot buy real estate because, one, it's expensive, and there's a couple of other reasons. We'll get into those in detail. But that's what we want to change. We want to make sure that anybody, any place can buy real estate. And something that Gaurav mentioned, on the 15th of August, he decided to quit his job. Those of you who know the context, the 15th of August is Indian Independence Day. And those of you who are following FOHO, trading starts with the FOHO coin on the 15th of August at 7 a.m. India time. So 7 a.m. India time, Gaurav, we've decided to follow in your footsteps. And all of us, everybody in India can also join the revolution, join the FOHO revolution, and hashtag Let's FOHO. So we'll get into that. Please, we want to get that on that day. Obviously, Happy Independence Day will be up there on Twitter, but we want to make sure Let's FOHO is quite up there as well. So what is the FOHO ecosystem? We have FOHO coin, which is the lifeblood of the FOHO ecosystem. So this is your entry into the FOHO ecosystem. So essentially, if some of you went to a village fair, or you went to as they would call it, a mela in India, you have to buy some coupons at the entry. At the entry, you pay some money, you get coupons. With those coupons, you can go and have a ride on the Ferris wheel. You can play some games. You can buy food. All of that happens with the coupons. So the FOHO coin is very similar to the coupon. It's a utility token that you buy up front that allows you to participate in the FOHO ecosystem. And the FOHO ecosystem, the other remaining parts of the FOHO ecosystem are FOHO.house, which is the blockchain-based residential real estate marketplace, FOHO.work, which is the blockchain-based commercial real estate marketplace. So in the dot house, as I was mentioning, you can buy 1/10,000 of a fraction of a New York apartment overlooking Central Park that costs $2 million, but 1/10,000 of it is only $200. You can buy 1/2,000 of an apartment in Mumbai at NCPA. You don't have to be Anil Ambani to own that fractional NCPA apartment anymore. So you can. So there is multiple aspects that of real estate in the residential. In commercial, it's even better. You can buy 1/10,000 of a cell phone tower in India, or a cell phone tower in Kenya. And those of you might think, why am I talking cell phone tower? It is one of the best investments in terms of yield. Those towers, don't do much work, but they stand there and they're making money. So what better investment? There's very little. The maintenance is taken care of by the cell phone company, and some of these places you can have three different cell phone providers on that. Now, what else can you do? You can have an office space in New York. You can have a winery. You can have a brewery in Amsterdam. It lends itself a warehouse in Pune, India, or in Plano, Texas, and those warehouses you can lease to, let's say, Amazon or Walmart or somebody big that requires, and warehouses today is one of the hottest commodities in the real estate marketplace. And so you can buy and choose. So in the FOHO.work commercial real estate marketplace, so people that have warehouses can bring it in. So it's a true marketplace where buyers and sellers can bring their stuff in. The right in the middle is FOHO Club. FOHO Club is the blockchain-based sharing economy of the future. This is, let's say, 20 families in Mumbai travel very often to Goa, or 20 families in Toronto, where I live, travel very often to Montreal. And I do that very often because my daughter goes to McGill University in Montreal. And this has been wondering. So as soon as this opens up, I'm going to be opening a club where 20 families get together, rent an apartment. It could be a fancy apartment in Montreal, or the families in Mumbai rent a fancy villa in Goa, and they decide, all of us gets 5 days in a year. They have a rules of engagement for the club, and the days that they're not going in, they put it on Airbnb, they put it on Trip Villas, which is our partner company, and those ones can then be let out. So at the end of the year, and thanks to our blockchain backend, you know exactly where the money came in, you know exactly who used it when. You have all the details in there. The end of the year, people can decide, I want to stay in the club. You know what, my daughter's finished, she's moving to another university, somebody else wants to come into the club can decide to close, or the club can continue. So this is very, very unique to this is fractional usage. So the forwarded house and forwarded work is fractional ownership, the fractional usage. At this point, I like Roshan, who 11 years back went and started tripvillas.com. Also, was able to raise funding from the Singapore Sovereign Fund, and 11 years later, Trip Villas is one of Asia's largest holiday home management companies. So with this, I like to let Roshan add a little more flavor to what I just mentioned about the FOHO ecosystem. Over to you, Roshan.
Thanks, Vijay. Essentially, I think what I'd like to stress is that, through the FOHO ecosystem, what we're trying to do is make investing in real estate more accessible, safer, and ensure that all eggs are not in one basket. Because, the typical issues with real estate is that even if you are a very, very successful professional, every investment is a significant amount of capital commitment, etc. Every investment skews your portfolio towards a particular micro market, not even a particular country. And and then so it's really difficult for you to build a diversified portfolio. And so people will tend to be very risk averse, or will tend to invest only in the geography that they know very well or right around them, etc. With FOHO, that's not how it works on the stock market. You're not necessarily investing only in the country that you reside in, or in the companies that that are in the same profession as you, etc. So what we've tried to do is, through the FOHO ecosystem, create a transparent marketplace. Anybody can come and register as a seller, register their property, pay the fees, at submit their properties. However, these properties then don't directly go to the investors. They go to a premium section called sponsors. The sponsors have to basically study these deals and say that, I'm willing to sponsor this deal. And what does I'm willing to sponsor this deal mean? It means that they are willing to put in at least 10% of the total cost of the property single-handedly. They are willing to upload their thesis of why they think this property is going to be a great investment, and they're willing to keep themselves locked into the deal for at least 12 months post the listing. um, Once a deal receives sponsorship, it's open to the public investors. They can then pile on, join and buy the remaining fractions. And then it essentially gets tokenized, and the tokens are distributed to everyone in proportion. You can sell your tokens, trade them on the FOHO ecosystem, and you can also pass a motion to actually liquidate the token. What I mean by that is, if you feel that, hey, the token is not reflecting the real value of the property, or the property has gone up in value significantly, 51% of all, as long as 50% and plus of all token holders decide that, yes, we want to liquidate the property, they can then decide, and the remaining token holders have to go along. The property gets liquidated, and the capital value gets paid to all token holders in proportion to the tokens they hold. So this is true uh, fractional ownership. We try to construct it as an advancement of the REIT concept. In the REIT concept, you really have no power. You just have the economic benefits of participating in the REIT, but you can't change the manager. You can't decide that the assets have to be disposed, and there's a lot of lack of transparency in which assets are going to get added into the REIT over time. Similarly, as opposed to like the typical buy a fraction through a company, corporate law takes over. Even somebody owning more than 10% can then block a sale, can be an irritant to the rest of the people, and then jeopardize your investments. So the FOHO and blockchain and the ecosystem really, one, gives you great variety of deals. We use this explanation often, where let's say, for instance, I may normally not invest in Saudi Arabia, but if I have a FOHO coin token listing of a residential apartment that's rented out to Aramco for their staff, and it's providing me 11% yield, sure, I'll take it, because it's not my entire portfolio. It's only one portion of my portfolio, and it's tax-free yield, it's high yield, it's an A grade tenant in Aramco. They'll always want high quality housing for their employees right around their refinery, etc., etc. So it's gonna revolutionize the real estate ecosystem globally. It's gonna give you
Roshan,
as
we'll actually, let's finish off with this presentation, and then we'll come back, and as Roshan mentioned, Saudi Aramco also gains, because they can now leverage their investments in some of these properties. So we see property owners of all sizes all across the world suddenly saying, you know what, I can get my properties leverage. I can probably take cash out. The people on the other side say, you know what, it makes sense, I can invest in it. It's almost like the whole housing for Saudi Aramco can be on FOHO, and Saudi Aramco themselves will rent back. So fantastic ecosystem, right? I mean, and it's a yield that's guaranteed. So a lot of these kind of things that we'll get into detail. So in just because of time, we'll just move to this really quickly.
Sure.
Again, as Roshan mentioned, investing in real estate, and I kind of alluded to it as well, definitely an expensive affair. And that's one big reason why there's a very small percentage of people in the world today that own real estate. There's an even smaller percentage that own investment real estate, right? So not the house you live in, you own a second home or something else as an investment, even smaller percentage. Now that's what we want to change. We want to revolutionize it, democratize this, anybody anywhere in the world can buy real estate in different other parts of the world. Now, obviously, this is not a way to subvert any legal frameworks. You have to be legally vetted, and a platform will do that. So we know for sure in India, if you're not an Indian citizen, you cannot buy agricultural property. So absolutely, if there's an agricultural property listed on FOHO work, we will not allow anybody that is not an Indian citizen, as per our KYC or whitelisting. We will not let them buy that, right? So those are checks and balances we will put into place, but it opens up the whole world to you, because you can now, let's say I'm a Canadian citizen, if you're an Indian citizen, or if you're an American citizen, you now know that here are the parts of the world that I can invest in. If I live in New York, I don't have to be constrained by the New York, New Jersey geography. I can go anywhere, right? So I think that's I think the beauty of this. And the second part here, we've got 4 points here. Second one, very stressful. Do I have to worry about what if the roof leaks? What if something happens? What if the dishwasher stops working? That's where our entire concept makes sure that there is a management company involved, and that's where Roshan and his years of experience managing real estate and the ecosystem that we've built in different parts of the world will come in handy. Number 3, due diligence is today is lengthy, difficult. If you're going to buy a property in Sri Lanka, how do you even go and see does the property really exist? Okay, so all of that, thanks to the FOHO ecosystem, thanks to our feet on the ground, and we'll get into details about how we're starting off in a couple of geographies, but we're going to obviously take on the world, but we're starting in a few particular geographies right away, and how that would help. And obviously everything that we do is going to be vetted in those geographies. Again, the real estate is a state subject, state or province subject. So if you're in the US, Michigan has different laws, Florida has different laws. If you're in India, Maharashtra has different laws, Karnataka has different laws. So obviously we will make sure that the FOHO ecosystem and the FOHO platform meets those requirements. Also, if you're selling fractions, it also has to meet regulations for is it going to be under SEC? Is it going to under SEBI? So these would also be things that we would look at, and we would meet every guideline for selling securities. If it's a security in that particular geography, so be it, and we would make sure that those are met. So obviously, as Roshan mentioned as well, real estate investment diversification, I think is the next big one that you can take care of here. So some of the FOHO property, and I think this is a little bit of story. I'll go back a little bit. I started FOHO House in 2019 in Goa. And in Goa, we started off with fractionalizing property into 10 to 12 fractions. So we wanted to make it like timeshares with ownership attached. And then that's a concept that already exists in North America. We wanted to take it to India. And we already had some property in Sri Lanka and in Goa, India. So some of those properties now will get moved. So we're going to start off with a head start. And I'm just giving you a flavor of some of the properties that we have. Dusitani, Sri Lanka is one of the places where we have a property. It is Dusitani, for those of you know, is a Thai resort brand, and Dusitani, Sri Lanka is one of their top resorts in their chain, and also one of the top resorts in Sri Lanka. It's south of Colombo, towards Mirissa. It is a place called Balapitiya. I have been there, and it's beautiful. Aldia de Goa is another property where we have a bunch of properties, and it is in Goa, close to Donapola, with Bambolim Beach, and it's tied to a 5-star, 7-star resort, close by. So all of this is what can happen. Now the ask we have, and the ask right now, one of the ask is, if you're a private sale investor, we have something special for you. Only thing with private sale, you need to have a minimum of $25,000 investment. If you invest $25,000, you get a bonus. And as you put in more, you get more bonus. So this is something that if you are a private sale investor, please get in touch with us. You can go to our website, register, and we will get in touch with you. We have a strategic partner. Now, this is only by invitation, but if you're in there, please let us know. This is for people who are already in the real estate business. You could be developers, you could be commercial real estate owners, you could be hoteliers. We're actually sending out invites to people like the Hilton Group, to people like Demac in Dubai, people like Shobha in India, people like the Tata Housing, people like Tridal in Canada. We want to get builders on board that will be part of our ecosystem. So imagine if Loda, one of the big groups in India, builds an apartment building in Mumbai of, let's say, 70 floors. Think of maybe 10 of those floors dedicated to fractional, right? So FOHO, they can sell 60 floors to full people. People want to buy the entire one, but 10 floors or 5 floors could. So that's the vision of where we see there could be inventory coming onto the FOHO platform from brand new projects as well as from resale. So obviously the last group, and not last, but that's our first group, but because this is an EMA specifically for private sale, but we kind of want to open it up for everybody. This is the main group that we're after. This is the people, the IEO, the retail investor. We open on 27th July, 12 noon Bangalore time. We continue to the second, actually it's the 3rd August. We'll have the slide change. It's 3rd August. We decided to give an additional day to the IEO because people said, they probably, on the Monday after the weekend, somebody comes in and they miss it. We'll give you one more day. And it's on BitBNS. We'll let Gaurav and Chandan speak a little bit more about this. But we have 2 ways of doing this. And Chandan, I'll let you take over from here. If you can just tell people when they go to BitBNS, what are the ways they need to do? What does it need to do given the dates, 27 July, the 3rd of August, and what are the 2 ways that they can do it? Over to you, Chandan.
Before we go on to this, I'd like to say that if you have an asset in the real world and it has a yield, it's going to be FOHOfied on the FOHO ecosystem. So like over time, we're going to FOHOfy anything which has a yield or has a use case in
absolutely. Anything that's a yield or anything that has capital appreciation, any
Right.
asset, absolutely, any real asset.
Yeah. And the FOHOfication is mainly going to be driven by the users of the platform, the sponsors, as Roshan mentioned. So ultimately, it's going to be user-driven platform, and the main user is going to be the IEO investor, of course, because the users can invest in the BitBNS IEO platform. So for BitBNS users, we have a launchpad page in the BitBNS website itself. And in addition, investors who don't have a BitBNS account, they can use the blockchain asset and they can invest in the IEO, in the IDO rather, using the Ascent by BitBNS platform. So it works like a normal dApp. Just open launch on ascent.com and log in with your MetaMask wallet. And then when the page goes live, you can invest, buy FOHO tokens using either USDT, wrapped Ether or wrapped Bitcoin, WETH, WBTC or USDT on the Ethereum blockchain. Everything is driven by the smart contract. So once the IDO ends, the FOHO tokens will be will go to the user's MetaMask wallet address. On 15th August, FOHO tokens will go live on the BitBNS exchange, and on the same day, we'll also do a Uniswap staking as well. So FOHO tokens will go live on Uniswap as well on 15th August morning 7 a.m.
So key dates, I think, is the 27th July. The IEO opens, and also the IDO opens the same day, Chandan. So you can start using Ascent, you can start buying the IEO, which is at 10 cents a FOHO coin. A minimum of FOHO coin that you have to buy is $10. Starting the 15th of August, 7 a.m. India time, you will be able to start trading FOHO coin as well, and also on Uniswap, right? It's on Uniswap as well as on BitBNS. So we will be open to the world to start trading the 15th of August, Indian Independence Day, and this is where Gaurav, I'd like to bring you in a little bit to get your perspective. We are very excited for 15th August and to be go live. Anything that you would suggest? We probably have a lot of BitBNS people here as well. Your people that are users on BitBNS. Any suggestions for them on what they should do? Do's, don'ts. Don't leave it for the last minute or anything like that. Anything that you might want to say, Gaurav?
I think Gaurav's got dropped off.
Oh,
So I'll
okay.
take,
Sorry.
yeah,
Okay,
so I'll
so
take,
yeah.
yeah.
So Jonathan, if you want to take that, please.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so BitBNS users would already know of our previous IO sales which we had. So we had Oro token, we had the BNST sale as well as the Spring token sale. So it's a pretty straightforward process, and we'll drop mails, etc., to all the users. So just to reiterate, if you're a registered user with BitBNS, and if you want to buy using a BitBNS wallet without paying any gas fees, you need to invest via the BitBNS launchpad page. If you want to use a MetaMask wallet, it's the Ascent website, and the rest of the process stays the same. I mean, it's a standard ERC20 token. So you'll see the FOHO tokens in the list of the BitBNS assets in the wallet page. On the day of the listing, uh, you can receive it from another wallet. So let's say you have a friend who's bought it using his MetaMask wallet, and he wants to transfer it to your BitBNS wallet. So you can receive it. It'll have your Ethereum wallet address. You can withdraw it anywhere. So let's say if you want to go and stake it in the Uniswap pool, so you can withdraw it into your Ethereum wallet. So it's a pretty straightforward process, and we'll make sure we send the updates regarding that.
Thanks, Chandan. So quickly, we'll run through this again. So Roshan, I kind of put you on the spot always, and my thing is he's a smarter guy. He went to IIT, so he's got to do the numbers. So Roshan, in as I always put you on the spot today as well, please, if you can do this.
Sure. So everyone, because this may seem like a very complicated graphs to everyone. So what I'll do is I'll kind of wear my investor hat and try and share with everyone, how you should look at these charts. So on the left-hand side is essentially the total supply of the FOHO coins. And here, if you're an astute investor, and the portion that's jutting out a little bit on the top right-hand side is the portion that is going to be issued in the IEO. So you can see that, out of the total possible supply in the IEO, we are only issuing about 8.5%. What's also important to note is that, the largest chunk is about 40%, which is essentially going to be done for cash in future token sales, which means that, as the price of the FOHO coin increases, we will do further sales at higher prices, etc., which means that, the FOHO balance sheet, if you may, has got more and more cash issued at values which are closer to the traded value of the coin, which should give you comfort. The other thing is that, that 8.5 plus 40%, we are essentially nearly 50% as cash in the token through the balance sheet. The second graph, which is on the right hand side, is essentially the 8.5% blown up. And if you, the thing to notice here is if you take sales and mark, so this is essentially telling you how is the money that is going to be raised from the IEO, how is it going to be utilized. And there, if you see, the two things that you should look at is essentially that 29.4% is going to be used for public relations and advertising, and 23.5% for sales and partnerships, which effectively means about more than 50% of the funds are going towards actually generating demand for the FOHO coin. This is a this is a great thing for investors in the IEO, because it effectively means that the company is investing in ensuring that there's a significant increase in demand for the coin, which then will essentially go towards improving your investment. Vijay, can we go to the next one?
Yeah.
Okay, the next graph that you see is essentially how we're distributing the capital that's raised in the IEO. So essentially, as you can see, because of the phenomenal response that we've had from strategics, etc., we have actually taken a large portion of the IEO and allocating it towards private sales and strategic sales. This is essentially great for the IEO investors, because it means that you have large institutions and stable investors who are going to hold most of the tokens. We don't expect those tokens to be very actively traded, and so you have thin supply, which is essentially only 8.82%, which is going in the IEO and IDO, which is actually going to be available to trade in the FOHO coin, which is great for people who are investors in the token. Vijay, can we go to the next one?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Roshan. Can you see
Yeah.
this?
So the next one is essentially, something called the token release forecast schedule. This is also something that's very important for any investor. So if you look at, what I would like to draw your attention to is essentially the light blue portion, and the light blue portion is essentially the tokens in the token sale, and all the other colors are essentially the tokens for other purposes, which is the other 50% of the token, which is non-cash. If you see at the beginning, that means at the time of the IEO, essentially everything is light blue, and the other tokens essentially are getting issued primarily, if you see, beyond the 20 to 30 month goalpost. So this essentially means that, and so if you look at, like, let's say the dark blue, which is a team, or the orange, which is the airdrops, etc., they're all coming in past the 20 to 30 month mark, which means that, essentially for the first 20 months or 30 months, really you have mostly only cash investors who have got tokens and FOHO coins, and the management team effectively gets incentivized to to essentially build the value in the token over a 40-month horizon, and not like the usual management teams who typically have got a lot of tokens right up front or within the first 12 months to 18 months. So if I was an investor, all of these are big positives for me when I see this in the tokenomics of any cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Hope
Thanks,
that's good.
Roshan. So also this one here, the milestones, if you want to do that as well, Roshan.
Sure. So some of these milestones are, what we've done till date. So essentially, the launch, FOHO absolutely got a great reception where it launched at the Vibrant Goa, event, and we've come together between Trip Villas and Tangential to rethink the entire ecosystem and invest in the technology and relaunch the entire platform. As mentioned earlier, 3rd of August is the IEO closure. So make sure you've invested, KYC'd, applied in the IEO by that date. 10th of August, you'll have the tokens in your account. And 15th of August is when the token actually begins trading, and, it will discover its true value. By September 2021, expect that, the FOHO coin will be accepted on Trip Villas and other websites, and by November we expect to launch the fractional ownership marketplace, and other the club product, etc. So essentially we expect that by December 1st, this new year and this Christmas season, we expect most of y'all, the FOHO coin holders, to be vacationing, having used your FOHO coins, and parting with myself or Vijay, whoever you're closer geographically to, and Chandan.
Thank you, so Roshan. That's good, and absolutely. I mean, we've come a long way. As I said, when we started off initially, when we fractionalized property into 10, 12 fractions, I said we're democratizing real estate. Okay, now 2, 3 years later, 2019, I made that statement. Come and a lot of magazines wrote about it. Outlook India wrote about it. A lot of people wrote about it. Said yes, these guys are democratizing real estate. But come to 2021, and this is where things change so quickly with us embracing blockchain, I think I was wrong. We are now democratizing real estate, right? Before, you still needed significant sums of money. You didn't require the $1 million, but you needed $100,000 to buy property. Now we only need $200 to buy property. So it's essentially brought it really, really to everybody's reach. So I am happy to be corrected, and I think and I think we've come a long way since from how our vision of doing this is. And with Triple R joining the bandwagon, I think we have a lot of good skills in also in the management of properties, and how we go and look at properties, and also overall we've got built a team, and with the coming together of the tangential side and the Triple R side, I think we have a fantastic global team with expertise in real estate, technology, and finance. So I think it's a fantastic coming together of people, and we're really excited about this. So going down the road, as people might have thought, and I'll take one question that came in, in the bottom, you see, by purchasing FOHO coin, you're not purchasing a security and investment product. You're buying a utility token. So people ask, you're talking about property, but you're not purchasing, why you have this disclaimer in the bottom. Very good question. As I mentioned, the FOHO coin is your entry into the mela. Okay, so it is a utility token. Now, when you use the FOHO token to buy property, at that point of time, you will be issued a new token, a new property token, which you'll exchange the FOHO coin for. Now that token will be the property token. So right now you are not, what you have is a utility token that will allow you to participate in the purchasing of the property token, but you're not buying the property token. And we can go into a little more detail about this. I'll leave that to Chandan and Roshan to the level 2 blockchain and details about that. But I'll like to, on this slide, take you through what's happening right now. We're doing a pilot, India, Canada, Sri Lanka. That's what we're going to do right away. The rest of the year, this year, we also have more coin offerings that will happen. These are the other geographies that we want to go after. India, Southeast Asia, Europe, Indian Ocean, Indian Ocean on the other side, and North America. So this is definitely someplace that we would like to tell you our future roadmap, and some of the big markets, if is India, Europe, and North America. I think are the big markets that we're going to go after. With that, I just want to, Chandan and Roshan, if you want to just get in quickly about the secondary token, and then if you can clarify that.
So that also is going to be a fractional token, because eventually we want to split the ownership amongst the maximum number of users. And the FOHO ecosystem, the FOHO platform will allow exchange of the FOHO tokens for the property tokens.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll get into a little more in that detail. Let me finish through this. This is me and Roshan there. As I mentioned, I've been in business for some time. Roshan has been doing this for some time as well. The company that I run, Tangentia, has been in business for the last 17 years. We've been on Profit 500, fastest growing companies in Canada, 6 years in a row. Our US operation has been on the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies in the US. I've been involved in the India-Canada corridor quite a bit. I was the president of the Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce. I'm on the board of TIE Toronto. So very involved in business from a long-term perspective. And that's something that, I think people listening and wanting to invest, we're not fly-by-night operators. We're looking to build. We're embracing crypto. However, a lot of the people like us in business somehow are wary of crypto. So we're early adopters, I must say. We're trying to see how we can merge the crypto world with the world of business. And every time I talk to people, they're like, did you have to do crypto? Couldn't you have done this without crypto? And I said, you know what? Yes, we could. I started this company without blockchain as well. You can do everything without anything. But once you have a technology, why not you use it? And why don't you leverage it? So I think that's where we're going with this. I know there's resistance from a section of the business community that crypto, anything that they don't know, they think is bad or wrong, right? So we're hoping to see if we can bridge this, and there's lots of positives with crypto that we can leverage, and that's our endeavor. Roshan, you want to say something about yourself? I think we've gone through that.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
Happy to.
Qatar, maybe you got to tell us about your time in Qatar.
Yes, yes. Just to share, I was grew up in a tiny country called Qatar. At least during the time that I grew up there, it was 200,000 people. Moved to India in '96 to study at IIT Bombay. Graduated in the year 2000 and little did a little better than Gaurav. Never worked at all. So actually started my first business even before I graduated from IIT Bombay. And I've been an entrepreneur now for about 21 years. Sold my earlier business in 2008, and then took a year off before starting Trip Villas. Been very lucky. Have had the privilege of dealing with of having the support of great investors. Built an incredible community of of crazy holiday home owners, because I think it takes a little bit of crazy to build properties in some of the most unique, beautiful, most inaccessible places on the planet. And we've made great friends. There's always, as they say, um, every beautiful piece of land has a unique story behind it. So I've been privileged to hear many of those stories and witness the creation of some fantastic assets. We look forward to dealing with you if you are a creator, dreamer, investor in real estate, or have some sort of privileged access. Reach out to us. We're always looking for great deals, and we want to put those deals in front of the FOHO community. What else? When we started this whole holiday home sharing business, we were called crazy, and it was considered ridiculous to even expect that you could go and feel comfortable going and staying in a room in somebody else's house. And was considered crazy for someone to even allow somebody and give them and trust them and give them the keys of your remote home where they're unsupervised in your house, and you've got art worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and the most precious memories in that home. Today it's a mainstream business, and it's incredible that it's just 8-10 years from that era. And so we expect that COVID has taught people that you can't always invest in things that you can touch and feel. And even if you could touch and feel, you might be in a country where the things you can touch and feel are guaranteed to go to zero. So you want to, like any smart investor, invest in the best investments, not the investments which you can reach out and touch. And FOHO is building that bridge between the crypto world and the trillions of dollars of capital that's in the crypto ecosystem, and building that bridge to real assets and real properties that ultimately people will need to use to enjoy a better quality of life, to spend more time with their loved ones, to have a more productive day if they're at work, etc. So we are excited, and great to see everyone here, and look forward to the 15th of August.
Thanks, Roshan. So our advisory board, as you said, we've got Chandan here right on the top. Chandan, Jason Fernandez, we'll have him at our next AMA as well, and Floyd. So all of them are stalwarts in their own, domains. Chandan, as we had already discussed, algorithmic trading. Jason is a well-known crypto celebrity, I must say. He also invented the world's first internet-based DVR, and he's always in the news for something or the other. And Floyd is our the co-founder of Branding Consulting, and also the marketing agency that's helping us, because not just getting the FOHO coin going, but going forward we need to build the whole FOHO ecosystem, and make sure that let's FOHO and we can FOHO-fy, as Chandan mentioned and created a term today. We've got to FOHO-fy the world. So that's what we want to
I
do.
love that.
So yeah, go ahead, Roshan.
I love that term. Chandan, thanks for that.
Yes. And here's a few promotions. Any of you listening, stand a chance to win. We're picking 50 people at random to win 200 4coin tokens each. So follow us on Instagram, like our page on Facebook, and share any of our YouTube videos on Twitter, and send us a link. So and let's FOHO. So get this through. This is, I think, valid till this Saturday. So it's like a flash event. Go do this right now, and you can win. 50 people will win 200 4coin tokens each, and that's something that starts right away right now. So go ahead, just follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and share our YouTube videos on Twitter, and send us a link. So more details, join our Telegram group, and you can see that there, or any of our social media sites. So with that, I'd like to thank, we'll take some more questions. If there are any questions, let me look at, see if there's questions. And also at this point, I'd like to bring Gaurav in. I think, Gaurav, we tried reaching you, and at that point you're actually, I think, unavailable. So Gaurav, from where you sit as the boss of the BitBNS, the exchange itself, we're trying to, you try to revolutionize, some of that stuff. We're trying to revolutionize as well. So what would be your thoughts, for us, like Roshan and I, and Chandan as well, long sleepless nights. We obviously know we're going to take that as a given, but what else can we learn from your journey, and any snippets of advice for us?
Right. So one thing that we've kind of seen is crypto has some of the most passionate communities that it kind of builds, right? So think of it this way, that for example, Bitcoin, no one knows the founder. Bitcoin is not an organization which has a marketing team or branding team or anything of that sort. And every single person on the planet would have heard of Bitcoin, right? It's a $700 billion sort of an asset, and like everyone has heard about it. Quite a few of them own it, and that number is kind of going to grow up over a period of time, right? So a lot of this kind of got driven by community, right? Like there were early adopters, believers, and all of that. I see that what you're trying to do with FOHO, right? That again is revolutionizing real estate. Real estate has been looked at from a traditional angle for centuries, on end, and that when you kind of change that lens, right, it is uncomfortable. It is also polarizing for a lot of people. A lot of people will say, "Hey, this doesn't work," or like, "Why crypto on that?" and everything, right? So, like, crypto kind of brings a lot of transparency, immutability on things. Hey, you cannot manipulate some contracts, or you cannot claim that, hey, this land belongs to someone else, and all those sort of things, right? So that is one thing. The passionate community kind of brings in a really, really interesting aspect to it, which makes a lot of the businesses very capital efficient as well, in the way they kind of operate. So I've kind of usually give that example, right? For example, discount brokerages or exchanges that operate, which are like stock trading exchanges and equities exchanges, have 100 times more number of people working behind the scenes for the same amount of dollar traded that kind of happens. And like crypto kind of has like 1/100th of or 1% of whatever working size of people that is kind of out there. So crypto makes things a lot more efficient, a lot more global, a lot more accessible, and a lot more transparent. And FOHO is kind of one of the few projects that I've been really, really excited in the last few months. I kind of see projects day in and day out. Quite a few of them kind of approach even us on BitBNS for listing or advisory and a lot of these sort of things. And FOHO is one of the rare few which I've been kind of really excited about. I personally would be kind of investing as well. So really excited about that, and would love to kind of someday own some property in Hawaii using FOHO.
Absolutely, fantastic, Gaurav. I think those are, and I was, the community part. I think that's great, and as I mentioned, we had some options and decisions, and we decided to take the path less trodden, and so we will see how this pans out. Obviously, we think this is the future. It is going to happen. Didn't they beat up the people who said the world was round initially? So we can take solace from the fact that we're probably not the few people, early guys here. But again, I think one question that I would have for you, Gaurav, is how do we? And I think obviously at some point it is going to become mainstream. Where do you see this inflection point coming? Like it's the way I sit, and I was sitting and thinking about this, because more and more we have CMAs, and I have people, the passionate crypto people are already on board. They're not asking these questions, but there's people who are probably investing today. When you tell them fractionalize, they understand it. But the crypto, and there's been some bad news and bad reviews, and and people banning, and now nobody reads the details, right? People only read the headlines, and what they banned is that you having accounts that are not KYC'd or anything like that. So if you are properly KYC, okay, so there is nothing wrong there, but I just want to have your views there, Gaurav.
Right. So,
Yeah, I have
as I
to.
said, right? Yeah. So typically, any new endeavor that is kind of out there typically has a lot of counterpoints as well, and crypto especially that way, because there is a lot of community aspect towards it, right? What you need to kind of look at it, like Bitcoin has had over 450 obituaries, right? Bitcoin has operated for those many number of weeks, so it would be like 600 weeks that Bitcoin would have been kind of operational, and there are like 450 obituaries that have been kind of said about Bitcoin, and even as late as 2021, right? So there would always be people who would kind of not adapt to it, and they could be really, really sophisticated people, right? Like someone like a Warren Buffett missed the entire tech revolution. He also missed Bitcoin, right? Like and Bitcoin was one of the highest sort of most democratized access towards kind of wealth creation. Like Bitcoin would have created more millionaires than any company outside in the world, right? So that way, like a few of these things are there. And so what it essentially kind of pegs is, like, if you can fundamentally understand an idea, right? So imagine you've been in real estate, you don't understand crypto, that is a separate aspect of it, right? But if you understand real estate, and if you understand if fractionalizing real estate makes sense, right? So you can kind of start placing your bets, right? What platform it is getting implemented on becomes secondary, right? Because you kind of keep moving platforms, your companies as a whole would adapt, right? So Apple used to be in the computer business. They changed to a phone business, right? They adapted towards it. So any company, any organization, any sort of movement around something, right? So as Chandan rightly pointed, if you have to FOHO-fy the world, right? Which is fractionalize the entire sort of properties that are out there in the world. There would initially be a lot of naysayers. Bitcoin still has it, right? Like Warren Buffett still calls Bitcoin rat poison, where there are 100 million people who own Bitcoin, right? And that doesn't kind of change a lot of the aspects towards it. And there are quite a few examples. Like Paul Krugman famously said that internet would never have more impact than what fax machines had. And he's a Nobel winning sort of a Nobel laureate out there for economics. And like, so a lot of these opinions remain irrelevant if you have community power with you, who kind of trust in your idea, and you kind of keep executing over a period of time.
And this is a global community. This has no, this is almost so utopian that there is no, when people ask me, where are you based, right? And we're like, okay, it doesn't matter in the crypto world, where are you based? Where is Bitcoin based? Who cares? Who knows? Nobody knows about it, right? So it's very utopian in that sense. And so that kind of, what you don't know, you're scared of. But at the same time, I think, if it's a government or whatever, it's up to the the taxpayer to pay taxes wherever they are. So if
Sure,
you
definitely.
buy FOHO coin and you make money, it's up to you to pay taxes. I mean, we're not saying don't pay taxes. We're not saying anything like that. So anybody that's listening, we're definitely not saying anything like that at all. And so there is a kind of thing that this is all under market economy, and this is absolutely not. We're definitely above board, and it's just the way it's done, and it kind of lends itself to a global spread. I think that's fantastic. Now the question is, Gaurav, from your
Yeah.
glass, when does this inflection point happen? When does crypto become mainstream? And Chandan, I'll come to you as well. Are you going to hazard a guess? When do you hazard a guess? And I know in India there is now a thing in Parliament, and you probably, as a head of India's one of India's largest crypto exchange, might have a inside view to some of what's going to happen. I think it's the monsoon session of Parliament that something might happen. So if you can give us your from your vantage point, what do you see this?
Right. So, like, the basic tenet is you cannot stop an idea as time has come, right? So, tomorrow, if a country decides that they would not allow electric vehicles, that's not going to work, right? People would find a way to kind of get electric vehicles and kind of adopt to that, right? So, that's one aspect of it. As a whole, the Indian government has been really, really progressive. Most governments or regulators are really playing the wait and watch game initially, just to kind of understand where things kind of go, what other countries are adopting, and then they kind of formulate things. We've had really positive feedback with the Indian government over the last few months. It was initially fairly negative, 2017, 18, 19. But that has kind of changed a lot, with a lot of social high profile backers kind of coming into crypto, a lot of institutional interest with the likes of Fidelity, BlackRock, and all of these sort of folks. That has kind of made it really, really promising as an asset class. And the Indian government also has realized it would also add a lot of money to exchequer. Like, if they kind of actually regulate it and kind of make it easier for people to pay taxes in different forms of crypto, I think that would kind of add a lot of money to the exchequer. So that's where things are headed. And what we kind of see is, like, my personal prediction for this particular decade is that we'll see a decentralizing finance is already happening, right? Crypto kind of already democratized that, and it is kind of giving power back into the hands of people. You don't let your money be controlled by someone else. Decentralizing media would also happen. So there would be a decentralized Twitter, where you cannot ban the most powerful person on the planet. Like, if you have a Donald Trump's profile, it was removed from Twitter for whatever reasons, and that can happen with anyone. So that is one aspect of it. I definitely kind of am watching for that the democratization of real estate would happen. And I also kind of am placing a bet at the end of the fag end of the decade, we'll also see decentralized governance. So where right now what happens is the power gets concentrated on a very few people's hands, and if that gets democratized and decentralized, there would be a lot of governance aspect towards it that can actually run states and even cities and municipal corporations and all those sort of things. So that's my secular bet. So crypto this decade would kind of revolutionize a lot of these things. And by 23, 24, 2024, I see we'll kind of start getting towards that inflection curve.
Fantastic, fantastic, excellent. Gaurav, absolutely. I think we're betting on it, but again, short term, we'll keep our fingers crossed with what's going to happen. I think, is it this month or next month? When is that monsoon session? When do that bill get passed? The crypto bill in India.
So the monsoon session has started. They have in the list of bills. They have not kind of added that bill yet. It might kind of get added because there are amendments happening to the bill even now. If not the monsoon session, it would definitely be the winter session.
Okay, fantastic. And Chandan, I'm sorry to keep you waiting, but your views on the same question. Yeah. What do you see this? Your crystal ball. What's the Chandan crystal ball say?
Yeah. So end of the day, I think it's about use cases, how the users actually use the token, right? So if you take Bitcoin, let's say, so you could have a guy who uses it for remittance. So we have BitBNS users who are based in the UAE, Middle East, and they use it for remittance uh, uh, into their Indian accounts or the relatives' accounts over here. I mean, it's much, it's easy as compared to, let's say, using Western Union or other channels. Then we have guys who invest in Bitcoin as a store of value. So let's as a hedge against the drop in the rupee, dollar, etc. And then we have guys, let's say, last year I planned a holiday in Greece in April. And my plan was to use Bitcoin. My plan was to withdraw Bitcoin using a Bitcoin ATM in Athens and use it for my expenses, including accommodation. So that was already in the works and I've already done it. Luckily, the holiday, it didn't happen and Bitcoin rose in value. So now I'm going to use that, buy FOHO tokens, and then eventually book my next holiday using FOHO tokens. So
absolutely fantastic. And the prevalence, it's happening. I mean, I took a subway ride in Toronto the other day, and in the subway station next to my home, there was a Bitcoin ATM. So you could go into the Bitcoin ATM and you could convert Bitcoin to cash, and I guess vice versa as well. You could buy Bitcoin using credit card, or you could do it the other way. You could actually get cash out from a wallet. So fantastic. I think it's just a matter of time and this is happening in Toronto, Canada. It's just a matter of time. This can just happen in different parts of the world. And again, power to the centralization, and there is no real, I mean obviously there is going to be the FX conversion and when you convert into fiat, but all of that stuff can happen through a decentralized Bitcoin network, blockchain network. So one last question. We're kind of out of time, but the question here is, BitBNS, and I know Gaurav's already left, but will the FOHO coin be eligible for the 3% annualized return or the staking on BitBNS? So Gaurav, question for you.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll definitely add that. So we have a very selective list right now on that, and we'll definitely add FOHO to it. So people
fantastic.
can kind of
So thank you, Gaurav. So those of you who asked that question, please give us a thumbs up. You asked and you received, right? So fantastic, excellent. So great job. And Siddhant, thanks for that question. So I think, we're really, really glad, we chose BitBNS. We're really glad to have you guys here as well. So thanks a lot, Gaurav. Chandan, last words, if you had any, Gaurav, to investors considering investing in FOHO and BitBNS, any few last words?
Right. So I would definitely say.
Yeah. Gaurav, you want to go ahead? Yeah, okay. So our goal is to increase the number of benefits the FOHO holders have. So both on the FOHO ecosystem, which would be, so let's say booking holidays using FOHO, staking FOHO for higher returns, buying properties using FOHO, and also on the BitBNS platform. So that would be, let's say, the interest yield which we have, adding BitBNS in the SIP list, etc. So that would be our end goal.
Okay. Fantastic. And Gaurav, sorry, if you can, last few words, and we will end after this.
Definitely. I would say, for anyone who is kind of considering investing or is on the sidelines, they can kind of look at a few things. One is the credibility of the team, and they've kind of run companies for really, really long period of time, right? So that kind of showcases that they're in for the longer term. It's not something that is going to be for the shorter term. And in the long term, things kind of work out, right? Bitcoin also worked out in the long term. It's not care day one say chal gaya, right? So that's one. The second is the credibility of the idea and the uniqueness of it, right? So if there's nothing that you're kind of able to find a parallel which kind of has a similar execution strength in terms of the team and other things, I think that's something that you need to kind of consider and figure out what is it that you want, and does that relate to you? If you are able to kind of relate to that sort of a future, you should definitely buy into it and kind of can explore investing into FOHO.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Gaurav, for that vote of confidence. And Chandan, always great to have you. And thank you everybody for watching. And look forward, as we say, hashtag Let's FOHO. So thank you everybody, and we'll see you on the next AMA. Have a nice one. Bye.
Good night. Bye.